Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
Black versus the Board of Education.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
Where are my thank you. Tevin is tripping. I mean, I need you to be on it. Like that was supposed to come right on in, and I was supposed to be excited. Happy Monday, everybody. It is Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, and we welcome you into this space as usual, because we are indeed a whole mood, and it's our job to show you exactly why. But before
whole mood, baby.
Come on, Tevin. Come on. But before we jump into the conversation today and introduce our guests, our topic today is we're talking about changing the education game one school at a time. And so with that, Jalen, I'm going to start with you because you're right here.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Well,
Who are
thank
you?
I thank you for asking. My name is Jalen. I am a college student, and the person I'm gonna pass it to, it was her birthday. So
I mean, can you stop? Can you stop taking my job?
my fault.
I mean, I had it all worked out how I was gonna do it, but we're gonna pass it to Miss Keela. Go ahead and introduce yourself, little book.
Hey, it's your girl Keela, college student, you know what I'm saying? And it was my birthday on Saturday. So
Now I heard it was your Jordan year. It's your
2-3.
Jordan year?
Yep.
Oh Lord, we got a Jordan in the building. Okay. Make sure you keep that microphone right by your mouth because we want it to go over when we have to replay it. Miss Jada, hey.
Hey y'all, my name is Jada. I am a homeschool senior in the Elk Grove area, and it's so good to be back. I'm excited to talk about today because
You always excited.
I mean,
does
but
it take much?
specifically today because
Okay.
I get to learn about a new Black woman's success.
Come
I
on,
love
girl.
it.
Come on, whole mood. You know what? Now we got
Black
the
girl
magic. We
magic.
got the-
Black girl magic.
okay, sounds.
Okay. Go ahead and pull up Samuel. Where's Samuel? Go ahead and introduce yourself, Sam.
Hello. My name is Samuel. I'm in 6th grade. I'm 12. That's it.
Welcome to the party, Sam. Welcome to the party. Come on, Melissa. Go ahead and round us out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa. I am 16 years old in the 11th grade, a junior, and I am located in Southern California.
Look at my crew. My crew is all here. Hey. So not only did Keela celebrate a birthday, we also have a birthday coming up this week. Tevin is hitting finally. Tevin is hitting 21 and he cannot contain himself. That don't mean he's grown though, and we're gonna show him just about that. This weekend we had a chance to check out Kima in her performance at Sac State. She performed with the University Dance Company with their fall production. Now, what y'all think about that? Because I was over there confused a little bit.
I liked Kima's. I can
okay.
support
Period.
Kima. The ones that Kima was in, I loved wholeheartedly. And she did amazing, by the way. Yeah.
She looked real good.
She did look
She
real
looked
good.
great.
Hair
But,
done, makeup
but I was
done.
confused a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
The sound.
I told him be on the sounds, but I didn't tell him to give me Jeopardy. Anyway, not only that, so we actually had some folks who visited the show who actually got into office. So y'all know what that means. It's time to hold some folks accountable. That means we going with some bill ideas to the state capitol.
Hello.
Because okay, so
I don't know.
so at the state capitol we have Roger Nilo. You know, Mr. Nilo came through. We're gonna have to send him a congratulations card and get in his office. Miss Ashby got in there. She was sworn in earlier today. Come on, Miss Ashby. And then at the city council level, both Katie Maple and Karina Talamantes got in. So, you know, we're going to have to get them back on the show.
Yes,
talk about what we need to do.
Yes,
So,
sir.
shout out to them for winning, and they're getting sworn in. If they haven't already been sworn in today, they are getting sworn in this week and or next week. And I actually had a chance to meet with one of the newest trustees from Elk Grove Unified this morning. I look forward to working with Mr. Vargas because apparently he's seen us at the school board meetings every time we've come. And he understands the frustration, and he has told me he's not afraid to shake the trees. And we not either. So
Period.
we're gonna make sure we get in there and make ourselves available and willing to do exactly what we said we would do if they got in. Right. All right. So we're gonna transition. We have a very, very special guest with us today. Miss Tiffany Ford is joining us. Look at come on, sprinkle her, sprinkle her,
Magic
come on,
sprinkle
sprinkle her.
Hi guys. Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome to Black versus the Board of Education. Would you
Thank
mind
you.
introducing yourself for those of us who don't know you? That we're going to get to know you really quickly here. So go ahead and
Yes.
introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Tiffany Ford, and I am a native Philadelphian, born, raised, all of that good stuff in Southwest Philadelphia. Recently, I've been working, or I'm not going to say recently because I guess I've been doing this for a while now. I've been working in the childcare industry. I started straight out of my home. And I expanded, and now I have over 6 locations operating in the city of Philadelphia. And I focus not only on, creating a safe space and a safe environment for children to grow and learn, but I have also emphasized how the arts and involvement in the world around them can help mold and shape a child from as early as preschool age.
And that is dope because I love everything about that. The arts are super important, and I'm not quite sure why they took it out of the schools in the first place, because our babies need something to do and some way to express themselves creatively. But I just got to tell you, I know I told you off camera, but there's this picture. This is like, what? Like, come on now. You got all the makeup done, and you got your clothes on. I just have to tell you, I'm digging that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So when you said that you have 6 locations and you
Yes.
started out of your home, talk to us about building your business. How did that happen?
So honestly, it's so funny because I actually went to college for education. So I already had the intention of becoming a teacher. But when I graduated from college, I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a spring graduation and a winter graduation.
Yeah.
So I graduated in the winter. So it was kind of hard to find a teaching job right away. So I actually wound up going into social work and really liking social work. So when I turned 24, I got pregnant with my daughter, and I had an epiphany, and I was just like, listen, I'm not ready to go back to work fully, but I do still want to work in education, and I have a genuine care for people. Let me try this home daycare thing. I tried it out, and it really, really took off. I was in a high needs area, an area where, the demographics were, pretty much poor. It was just, it's just the families were looking for work. It was just the perfect situation. They needed overnight care. I was willing to provide it. And from there, it just took off.
Overnight care. Oh, you was with the babies all night.
Yeah, I had them all night. So from there, I needed to get a building, and I expanded from that building from 1 all the way to 6. And it's just been an amazing journey. It really has. I've come into contact with so many people. People in my neighborhood call me the daycare lady. I think that's hilarious because I'm pretty young, actually. And I still have been able to raise at least, I'm going to say easily 200 to 250 children.
Wow. That is amazing. And we have Melissa on the call. Melissa is thinking about going into teaching. And when you said that, I'm always going to look at her face.
Yes.
Because I'm like, anytime we can put her into contact with folks who have the same passions that she has, that's a really dope thing. Melissa, do you have a question for Miss Tiffany?
Yeah, I do have a question. So, what inspired you to go into education and childcare? Was it the birth of your daughter? What was it? Because I know for me, it's the great teachers that I had, and also the lack of great teachers that I had that have inspired me to want to go into the education field. So, what was it for you that made you make that choice?
Well, that's a great question. Honestly, I was raised in a household with an educator. My mother was a school teacher. I watched her work her way up to the administrative level. When she retired, she was a principal. So watching the watching the growth of her journey was definitely a big motivation for me, and watching the lives that she touched and in ways that I wasn't even aware was like crazy for me. So I always knew I wanted to go into education just by following in my mom's footsteps, honestly.
Samuel.
So my question was, what were the difficulties when you first entered the education field
Mm.
with dealing with children?
That's a really good question, Sam. I would say one of the hardest things to do with children is to create boundaries with them. You fall in love with all of the children. You do. You fall in love with all of them. But then you also have to remember these are not your children. These are still, you have to handle them in a professional manner. You know what I mean? You have to work with ethics, and you have to lead with guidance. You have to make reasonable and rash decisions, even though you want to sometimes decide otherwise personally. So I would think that's the biggest challenge with working with children. That's a really good question, Sam. Nobody's ever asked me that one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Come on,
that's a good
Sam.
one.
Come on, Sam, popping
Mhm.
off. When you say creating boundaries, right?
Yes.
A lot of times when we come into contact with educators or the education system, it appears that they assume that kids are going to respond in a specific way like adults would. So
Absolutely.
when you're talking about creating boundaries, can you give us an idea or an example of a healthy boundary that you were able to create so that we can educate some folks who may be out here in Facebook or YouTube land?
Absolutely. I would say that the first boundary that you create is always with the family. You know,
Mhm.
making sure that the parents understand when it's appropriate to contact you, when it's not appropriate to contact you, making sure that they understand, policy and they're following some procedures. A lot of the times people I'm gonna be quite frank. They'll take kindness, and politeness for weakness, and then they don't follow the protocol and the procedure. So that's the first boundary that has to be created. Okay. Then the
Mhm.
second one is with the children. The children also have to understand and respect their space. That's a big part of what I teach my children. If you're going to be in this space, you have to treat it as if it's your space. We have to take care of it. It's home. We make sure that we clean up. We treat this as if we want it to be treated in our own homes.
Mhm.
Another thing is we also make sure that the children understand respectable relationships with the adults, and adults in exchange give them that same respect in return.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times, adults per se, they want to tell children what to do. You know what I mean? And not offer choices. So in my environment, I make sure that all of my adults are offering choices, because that's how we earn each other's respect.
That's dope. Jada.
I saw doing some research of my own about you. I saw that you also offered parental support, and I was wondering what that parental support looked like.
Yes. So a lot of the times we offer what we call as a parent cafe.
Mhm.
And they happens maybe quarterly throughout the year, where we actually sit down with parents who have need resources and to be pointed in the right direction as far as child welfare is concerned. And we'll sit down, we'll come up with a plan of action, we'll eat, we'll talk, we'll chat, we'll do all of that good stuff just to get them connected with the correct resources that they need. We'll have community people come in and volunteer and talk with them and speak with them as well to tell them more about community agencies and referrals that may or may not be needed for their families.
Nice.
So I'm assuming that because you are on your sixth facility, you've
Yes.
amassed a bunch of relationships.
Oh,
How
yes.
important are your community connections or relationships in the work that you do?
Absolutely. That is a great question. So, like I said, I'm located in a high needs area in Southwest Philadelphia, meaning that a lot of the times when parents come to the door, they're either they're comfortable because they're from the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Um, B, they're totally uncomfortable because they're from the neighborhood. So then I had to explain to them that, listen, our community, my facility has become a beacon in my community. People know where we are. People know what we do. We make sure that I personally make sure that I connect with my neighbors. I'm connecting with my other business owners to build those relationships and that support in the neighborhood. And for that reason alone, I have never had an issue. I've never had a problem in my area. And it's been an amazing journey because everybody looks out for us. So making sure that you know knowing who's in your community is key. Even with your state reps and your city council, you gotta know them because you want them to be able to readily identify you when it's time.
Right.
That's dope. That's dope. Keela.
So it's kind of personal. Obviously, hardworking woman, 6 facilities. What do you do for like self-care? How do you take care of yourself?
So it's so crazy. Like when I first started, what's your name? Kilo? Kilo?
Keela, yeah.
When I first started, when I first started Keela, I used to run myself ragged. Like I had no time for myself. I had very little time for my family. It was very difficult. Around year 5, I got to the point where I said, this is enough. I have to learn how to delegate. So I began to teach myself how to delegate, how to hand responsibilities off to people. And it has not been an easy journey because I'm very, very, very independent. But nonetheless, I think I've got it down to a science now. So what I do in my spare time is I go to the spa. I like to hang out with my daughter. I enjoy shopping. Like I have time to hang out with my friends, and all of that was just about understanding how to manage my business and how to delegate, how to take off those things off my plate that I can allow someone else to do.
That's great. Love that.
Yes,
for you.
thank you.
I mean, can you teach me how to do that?
Right.
'Cause-
That's why I asked.
It's so
We got
crazy
these hardworking
because I
women
really
here.
would love to do a class, but it's an amazing feeling once you get it, though. I promise.
Jalen.
So since the rise of since we had COVID, we've seen a rise in like tensions. I know in schools out here.
Yeah.
What has been like the biggest things that you've seen, like the differences pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Yes. We had 2 years, I guess, off. I'm not going to say off because we were partially open for, first responders and all of that. But I'm going to say when our students came back from the COVID vacation, there were a whole host of social, emotional issues that we were faced with. Constant crying. You could tell there was some separation anxiety, blatantly not being able to follow direction and get back into the routine. It was a very difficult transition for us. I want to say it took us about a year to get everybody back in the flow, and we're just getting there. So the biggest part was that routine was lost. Children need routine to be consistent and to learn. It's really important. And I'm not going to say that parents weren't doing that at home because they probably were. But the thing was, now the routine is changing into what we need it to be. And so it was quite difficult to make a comeback with behaviors. Teachers were definitely drained. They were tired. And with that comes a lot of call outs, a lot of illness. So it's like a trickle down effect.
Samuel, coming right back to you.
So my question was, since you have 6 locations, I was going to ask, what was it like with your first opening, your first daycare, your first location?
It was very, very, very scary, Samuel. I honestly was super nervous about it. I thought it was a really big step. But to be honest, the first location was only licensed for, I believe, 16 or 17 children. So it was manageable. I got my feet wet with the first one. And it grew very quickly. Again, we were offering care all the way up until midnight. We didn't do overnight care. We stopped at midnight, but it grew very quickly. And within 2 years, we were able to open another, and then another, and then another. So
Girl, you said midnight.
Midnight. I don't do that anymore, guys. I do not.
Amen. That's self-care.
Hey, that's how you got to start out, though.
I told you in my first 5 years, I hustled.
Period.
I don't do that anymore.
So was it because it became unmanageable to do that, or is it finding consistency with staff? Like what
it was actually the consistency part. It wasn't necessarily the staff, it was the parents. What would happen is that sometimes when parents work at night, they're always looking to get that better shift. You know what I mean? So the kids' schedules were fluctuating. It wasn't always consistent. And I just said, it's not worth it. So yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Melissa.
So you talked about COVID and how there was definitely a switch and a change with the children. And so on this podcast, we see that a lot with the children and then how teachers and educators are handling these children. And sometimes it doesn't always turn out the best. So what do you think needs to be changed in the education system overall? What's your number one thing, your top thing?
I think that teachers need more courses in child development. I know that all of us have taken them as prerequisites and things of that sort, but I think there needs to be more application in the education programs about how to apply what we learned in child development into behavior modification.
That's dope. So, I mean, it's deep, to even hear you say that there needs to be more courses in child development
Yeah.
because what I'm seeing is that things are changing, but the curriculum is not really following the change. And so
Right.
you have folks kind of relying on the same old tactics to deal with new problems or new
Right.
issues that our children are facing.
And that's why I think that, yes, we should still focus on what the courses are saying and what the books are telling us, but there has to be some type of real life application that has to happen in order to understand how to apply that stuff to today. And it's just, I don't know, it's a huge disconnect.
Absolutely.
It's a huge disconnect. And I just think real life application is really the real way to go. People don't understand how to work with African American children.
Come on, talk on. Wait, now don't skip over that because that's important.
Yeah.
Because you also said that you got to know the people in your community and therefore basically they've kind of insulated you to where you haven't had any problems. What we're seeing is people are not trying to get to know their communities.
They're not at all. I've seen people come to work and they go home and that's it. You know what I mean? Whatever happens after that, they don't know. You know what I mean? You got to know the trials and tribulations that your kids are facing, the things that they're going through at home. You have to know that so that you know how to handle it and deal with it appropriately.
Right.
Jada.
First of all, I want to commend you because when I was also doing a little bit of research, you had mentioned that you wanted kids to have an outlet and make their school their safe space when their home may be filled with chaos. And if you feel comfortable sharing, of course, this is a little personal. Do you think that some of that, how you want your schools to be a safe space for kids and escape the chaos from home, do you think some of that is because of the past trauma that you may have experienced? Because I know that you had mentioned gun violence in your neighborhood and domestic and drug abuse in your home. So do you think that may be one of the reasons?
That's a really good question. I don't necessarily think that is one of the reasons per se. I think that it truly, genuinely just comes from talking to children. I talk to children a lot. They trust me. I have a great relationship with them, and I hear the trials that they're going through. And hearing it from their perspective is where my motivation comes from. Yes, I have experienced all of those horrible things. I've had a lot of trauma even in my past. You know what I mean? However, the one thing that I did have was support. I had a family that was there to support and back me in everything that I experienced, where some of the children that I work with don't even have that. So with that being said, my safe space is a place where they know at least I can come and talk.
Right.
I love that.
That.
And I was reading this article, and one of the things kind of stuck out to me. It says, so you have the daycare facility. So do you do the art programming within your facilities?
No. So this is how that started. So first of all, the performing arts program is my baby. I love education, but I have a passion for dance. I was a dancer growing up. I started at the age of 3 and I went all into adulthood. And then I decided, okay, it's time to figure out how I can do something with this. So what I did was I had the daycares first, and part of the daycare was an after school program. So within the after school program, I started to incorporate the arts. I saw that it was really making a difference in the behaviors of my students, and the kids were really getting into it, but I just didn't have enough time to do what I wanted to do with them. So I sat down with a group of friends and I was like, guys, I think I'm going to do this art center. I think I'm going to open this performing arts center. Mind you, I went to the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts in Philadelphia. So I already kind of had a a niche of where I wanted to go with the program. I knew that I wanted to offer dance, I wanted to offer drama, I wanted to offer martial arts and vocal.
Mm.
So the first year we opened up, and we opened separate from the daycare. So it
Okay.
became its own program. Here we are. I'm in year 7.
Okay.
And the school is thriving. My kids look amazing. We put our all into everything that we do. They do annual production, so they're learning classical theater, they're learning vocal, and they're learning acting. We no longer have martial arts, but
Hmm.
we've done productions. We've done Annie, Cinderella, Lion King, all of it, and it's just amazing. And oh, those are my babies. They're so committed. They're so dedicated. They are just a wonderful group of kids to work with.
Now with your next one, let us know because we like to travel.
Absolutely, I
I would
will.
absolutely love to come see the babies.
I would love for
Absolutely.
you to come. We actually have a show coming up in February. The
Don't
weekend of
play.
February
I'll be
3rd
in
and 4th.
Philly. Don't play
I
with
want to
me.
send you guys some information.
I'm in Philly
I
too.
am. I would love for you guys to
Uh-uh.
come see them. They're awesome.
Okay. All right.
To
Go
back
ahead,
up
Jada.
your question,
Yeah.
I was a little sad when you heard that you took out martial arts, but it seemed not a little weird, but it was just kind of like out of the blue. So you have a lot of these like performance
Yeah.
arts kind of things like vocals, the
Mhm.
dancing and acting. Where did martial arts come from? Like
Ooh, that's
what
a good
stemmed from that?
question. That's a great question. So my husband is a martial artist. He's a martial
Ah.
artist.
You got to keep them busy. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yep. And he wanted to teach martial arts. So we were like, let's go for it.
Uh-huh. And did he get a was his class were his classes
His
full?
classes were successful. We did end it just because of time and where we wanted to go with the arts program. And we just decided that, okay, it's time to give that a rest and let's focus on this.
Okay. And so also in this article it talked about that the families really love the arts program but sometimes they can't afford
Yes.
what you have to offer, and so you do some fundraising and things
Yes.
like that. So
Yes.
can you give us an idea of what or how you fundraise to make sure those things are covered for the babies
Yes.
or
So
offset?
the way our program is broken down is we have what we call a foundations program. We have a training institute, and then we have a competition team. Okay.
Wow.
So the foundations program is pretty moderately priced. So most of the families can afford the training institute program.
Mhm.
However, as the child starts to grow within the program, the fees go up. And it
Mm.
becomes quite difficult for the child to grow and for us to continue to provide the instruction or the level of instruction that they need. So we'll do things like we have what we do a pledge-a-thon every year where we have people pledge to these children that if they stay in for the year, they'll donate this amount of money. So that
Mhm.
money will go onto their individual accounts. We've done candy sales, we've done concessions, we've done popcorn sales. We've done it all, just trying to get money for people to be able to keep their kids coming to this program.
Right.
Unfortunately, the arts is definitely, one of the things that cultivate children, but it does cost. Teachers still want to be paid. Bills, the lights still have to come on. So
Right.
it does cost. And it's unfortunate sometimes because some of the things that we would love to do with our students, as far as, allowing them to participate in other things, even as far as competition is concerned, we have to cut back and scale back often because of money.
Right.
Okay. Samuel.
So my question was, what is the standard or expectation for your employees to treat the children in your daycares?
I mentioned it a little bit, Samuel, and my expectation. Samuel, how old are you? You are just amazing. I'm sorry. Huh?
12.
12? Awesome. Wow. Jeez, he's amazing. So the standard for employees in the daycare is again to treat the children with respect. You respect them, they'll respect you. We give them choices. We make sure that we discipline them in a manner that is ethically correct or age appropriately correct. And we make sure that we are, I guess, just making sure that we are in tune with all of their needs.
I love that. And Sam kind of changed it back to the daycares, but I wanted to ask a question
Mhm.
regarding the arts.
Mhm.
Have you seen a drastic change in the students' behavior when they have an outlet or creative outlet
Absolutely. I've seen a change when they have it, and then I have seen a change when they've had it and don't have it anymore. So, absolutely, I've had students come in with parents, the parents telling me, warning me, they a little busy. They've been a problem in school. Their teacher is complaining about them. Just let me know if you have a problem, and then they'll come to us and they're like,
Nope.
no issues at all. And the issue, the half of the battle is making sure that they're interested in what they're doing. If the kids aren't interested in what they're doing, you're going to have behavior problems. So we make it a point to make sure that the child is interested. And every child that does come through our doors is not interested. But we also have an honest conversation with the parent and let them know, listen, I don't think that they're really interested in this, because we want to eliminate those behaviors as well.
Right.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is like your purpose? Like, what's your long-term goals, short-term goals? Have you achieved it already? Like,
yes. So it's so crazy. My long-term goal is actually happening right now. And I wanted to eventually find one building where I can flourish everything under one space and collectively bring the preschool and the performing arts center together. And I have found that building and it's actually being renovated right now. So I am
love that.
slowly getting there. I hope to be launching that space sometime in June or July. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We love it.
Yeah. So I'm getting older, but I've been doing this for quite some time now, and the running back and forth between the spaces have become a lot. So it took me a long time to find a space large enough to accommodate everything, and we finally found one.
Distance wise, when you say you're running from space to space, how far are your locations from each other?
Sure. So all of them are in Southwest Philadelphia. They're a matter of I want to say blocks from each other. However, I do have one in North Philadelphia as well. So that becomes, and that's about 15-20 minutes from that location. It's a lot. It's just a lot managing all of the bills, managing all of the individual happenings that occur with each building. I am ready to consolidate.
I love that.
I'm ready.
Jalen, you've been quiet. Talk to us, Jalen.
So-
What's going on, Jalen?
My question is, what was your first moment that you were like, this is actually a reality? Like, give me your first like championship moment.
Yo, come on, championship.
You guys are coming with the questions tonight. So, buying my first home.
That would imply there's more than the first home. Okay, go ahead.
I bought my first home. Buying my first home was it because I am young and I was able to do it. I was able to do it.
She said, period.
Period.
Let them know.
Okay.
Yes, that was it for me. Buying my first home. That was it.
Buying the first home.
Man.
Must be nice.
It was real.
Shoot, what's up?
I have a question. So I also saw that you teach small business owners how to launch 6-figure businesses. What does that look like? Are they classes or?
So let me talk about that. So recently I started
I
started doing some consulting and coaching and mentoring of small business owners who have a passion and are they're interested in making their passion a paycheck. So what we're doing is we're going in step by step and I am teaching them how to start their business from scratch and then create policies and systems that work for their organization. As much help as they need, as much help as they require. While I do childcare, I've had my hand in a lot of other things. I'm also in real estate. I have an event boutique. So I have a lot of things going on. It's not just childcare. So I do have a lot of experience in setting up and growing businesses and being able to maintain successful revenue.
Melissa.
My question is, what do you wish would have been different when you were in school? And do those things that you wish would have been different affect the way that you interact with the children that you are around?
Melissa, this is going to sound like so fake and so phony, but I am going to be completely honest. My mother did a great job at picking schools for us, for my siblings and I. I absolutely think I had the best educational flow. I started out in a private school that provided me opportunities for the arts at an early age. They also were into the arts. So that gave me that. Then I wound up going to an elementary school that was extremely diverse, and I learned about different nationalities and cultures and things of that sort. So that gave me that part. Then I wound up going to a high school where I got to focus on the arts even more and really dive into my passion and finding out why I love this so much. So honestly, I can't say that there was anything that I disliked about school. I've kept maintained relationships with people from all of my experiences. I have great relationships with my teachers. So I'm not going to say it was perfect, but what I can say is I made the best out of it. And with that being said, I have nothing negative to say.
Yeah.
You know what? That I actually love that answer. Because I think that we don't meet a lot of people who come with that same story about how being in school was
Positive.
for them.
Yeah.
That it was
Yes.
positive.
Yes.
So I like to hear the positive.
But keep in mind, it all comes from that background and the support that you have at home. And if you know better, you do better. You know what I mean? So it really does them. It's a generational thing. And it's that's why it's so important that parents get involved and they understand what's happening.
So when you're saying that parents need to get involved, and I want to make it as plain as possible, right? Because there are a lot of things going on that some parents are asleep at the wheel, you know. And so what are some of the things that you would, when you say get involved, are you talking about at the school, with after school programming, with like what are we talking about?
I'm talking about the whole scope of it. First, being an advocate for your child. You are your child's biggest advocate, making sure that your child has everything that they need in order to achieve whatever educational level of educational success they're capable of achieving. Making sure that all their resources are in place. That is your job as the parent. But it's also important that you volunteer. It's also important. It's also important to be hands-on. You know what's happening inside this child's school. The only way to do that is to actually be there and be present. A lot of parents come in with complaints and they have things that they want to change. But when they really get in there and see, okay, maybe that wasn't that great of an idea. I understand why they didn't make that decision. You know what I mean? And it's just, you got to be involved.
Yeah.
And so I just want to acknowledge that Miss Tawana is lighting up the comment section.
Oh, yeah.
She had a lot to say. There was a conversation she had with someone whose godson was choked in his daycare last week. Choke, bruise, and they didn't even call the mom or the police. And of course, that's a problem. And
that is a problem.
And then she has a message for you. Thank you for celebrating your mom and the choices and her choices to help you along your journey. Many people don't do that, and I'm sure this is one reason why you are blessed.
Thank you. Wow.
Like I said, we don't get to see a lot of Black folks in this arena. Especially here in Northern California. You like a unicorn.
For real.
I mean, so talking about
it's like, I mean, it's the same thing here in Philly. You know, it's just the fact that, like I said, I rant and rave because I had a great family, but it's my job to be that to somebody else, and that is all I want to be. You know, if I can do that for somebody else, I've done my job. So
I love it. Miss Jada.
Okay. So I had saw in one of your pictures you were pointing at your shirt and it said child care guru. Where did that come from?
Crazy.
Guru.
Yeah. So I started right now I'm going by the small business guru, by the way. But I started as the child care guru because I was the person that everybody came to. Can you teach me how to open this? Can you teach me how to do that? Can you teach me? And I honestly didn't mind. I really didn't mind. I got a lot of joy from helping people, guiding them in the process. I've helped over 20 to 25 daycare owners open their businesses. It's been amazing. So again, that's what I'm doing with my consulting. So now I'm sliding away from childcare and just going into small business as a whole.
That's amazing.
One thing that I want to commend you on, just exactly what you just said, is that you were willing to help people, because I know a
Yeah.
lot of people out here that will be gatekeeping.
Mhm.
Because they're like,
Absolutely. Yes.
they'll be like, oh, I don't want you to be in my realm.
Or
Oh, you want to
better.
open up daycare services? I'm in daycare services. I don't want no competition. And I
I
love
tell
the fact that
everybody, listen,
Community.
there
Yeah.
are so many kids to go around. It's really not competition because everybody has their own set of requirements. I might not work for you, but you may work for somebody else. Who knows? You know, it's
Mhm.
I don't look at it that way, and it doesn't benefit me to look at it that way either.
Were you done with your thought?
yeah.
J-Lo like, yeah. And I think, there are a lot of kids to go around.
Yeah.
And I think where Jalen was going with this is that we don't see a whole lot of synergy when
Bingo.
it comes to folks supporting one another in this area. We see the desire for competition
Yeah.
or the desire to kind of downplay what somebody else offers or brings to the table.
Mhm.
How would you suggest, say someone was trying to move into South Philly
Okay.
with and open up a child care facility?
Okay.
What advice would you have for them?
That's great. So I always say do your research first. The first thing that I do when I'm thinking about moving into a new facility or even another neighborhood per se, I always shop around as if I'm a parent. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see how many children are actually in the facility. Is the facility full? Is it not full? Is it moderately full? What that is telling me is how enrollment is in that area. So if I see that a building is full to their capacity, they have a bunch of kids, that's telling me there's an overflow of children in their neighborhood, and that's probably somewhere I would go. So that's the first thing that I would tell them. Do your research.
See, that's very basic, right?
Very
I mean,
basic.
no, and
Why
I'm
you
saying
say
like
that?
that's a lot of times people want to jump into an arena that they see is already there's someone successful at it.
Yep.
And they don't do the market research. They
Right.
don't ask the questions. They don't get to know the people in that neighborhood.
Right.
They just want to open something up because somebody else is doing it. But
Exactly.
to basically to have someone who's successful at it stop and tell you the first thing you need to do is do research. I mean, duh.
Period.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. And then some people would be like, oh, well, she didn't help me. No, she helped you a lot
Right. Right.
because you have to do the groundwork. You can't come in and kind of piggyback off what somebody else has laid down.
Mhm.
You have to do your due diligence because what I wanted to bring up is, people see these beautiful pictures of you in the white, right?
Yes.
And they think that this was like an overnight success.
No,
right?
not at
And
all.
people don't see the struggle. They see what has transpired or what has come to fruition, but
Right.
they don't really see the struggle of a thing.
It's
So
been it's been
talk to us about some of those struggles because
wow.
I
I would
mean,
say that the
yeah.
biggest struggle in business for me has been understanding who is for you and who is not for you. Um, when I first went into this, I didn't know, that people could be right there in your corner and be right there in that space with you, but not really want the best for you. That was not
Come
a reality.
on.
That really wasn't like a reality for me. I had to learn that through trial and error. You know what I mean? I'm able to weed it out now because I've been doing this for a while. But when I first started that was a really, really big shocker to me. I didn't know that those type of people were even existent, to be honest. So
Is that because you're not one of those type of people?
that's probably because I'm not one of those type of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have this innate thing. Some of us have it in us where we want the best for people.
Yeah.
We want everybody to come up because we coming up, right? And
Yeah.
we want to bring you along.
Yeah.
But there's some people who want to be in competition.
Yeah.
And some people stay around you because they want to see what you're gonna do. Also, there's people in your boat poking holes to get it to sink while you sit up here rowing with all your might.
Absolutely.
And so how to kind of identify those type of people, what you said is because I've been doing it a while, now I know better. And so for our young people that are listening, you're gonna have to get some experience in
Yeah.
these things in order to identify them, because they're not always going to be visible to you right away. Right.
Absolutely.
And Samuel, you have another question? Is that what it says?
Yes, I wanted to say. So I heard that you had advice for small business owners as a whole, but I was asking, what is your advice for struggling small business owners where
Mm.
it hasn't worked out and they've been at it for years?
Got it. My best advice, Samuel. I just Whew, Samuel. My best advice for a struggling business owner is to really consider scaling back. Sometimes less is more. In today's society, we see Instagram and we see social media,
Oh
and you're
my
like, I
gosh.
got to be doing this. I got to be doing that. I got to be doing
Mhm.
this. But you really need to do the things that are going to help you in your specific situation and how to create less, I want to say less overhead and more income. So
Hmm.
whatever that takes, that should be the goal. Scale back. Just like we live within our means, we have to also do business within our means as well.
Come on, Melissa.
So you mentioned people who will switch up, they'll act one way and then act another, and then you realize they're not really in your corner.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned in the beginning you ran really, really hard, you didn't take any breaks. So was there a person or people who were your constant support system who were actually there and you realized they were in your corner from day one, or along the way you realized that they were in your corner and they were going to be your support system?
Yeah, absolutely. My cousin has been a huge support for me from day one until now. She's been there she's going to be there. That has been my gatekeeper for my business, just making sure the stuff that I don't see, she sees. It's always important to have one of those, no matter what you do, whether it's family or a friend, or maybe somebody you don't even know that has those loyalty qualities. That's really important. I've also had another close friend that helped me grow my performing arts center. She's been there since day one. My husband, he's been there since day one. So I have a good, solid core team. I also have a young lady that's my assistant now. She's been there since day one. And together we hurdle all the hoops. We've gone through it all. But we know what the mission is and we know what the goal is. And the ownership that they take over my business is absolutely amazing. They treat it like like it's theirs. And I appreciate that wholeheartedly, because it's hard to find that.
Absolutely.
And
Go ahead, Jada.
and I had you had mentioned, how your family was like, and your friends, your support, your backbone.
Yeah.
Did you experience any like negativity from other people outside of your family, which is why your
Yeah.
family and your support was super important to you? Did you experience any negativity at all?
Yes, I did. I actually had a situation with a friend that worked for me for a while, and when we separated, it became when I had to ask her to leave because it just wasn't working out, and that does happen, unfortunately. It became extremely negative. Altercations, just spreading rumors, all of that
Oh
stuff,
no.
But honestly, it didn't do anything. My character speaks for itself. The
Come
work
on
that I
now.
do speaks for itself. And I had to let go and let God handle that. And I'm okay. And she's okay too.
And so when you said that happened between you and your friend,
Yes.
can you talk to us kind of about did that hurt? It hurt. Did it hurt?
Absolutely. It hurt bad. It still hurts actually, because it's like it's just one of those things where this is someone I grew up with. I actually grew up with them. And you don't think that can happen with somebody that you're so close to, but again, you don't know who's in your corner. You don't really, all you can do is assume. And when it comes time for true colors to show, they do show. And it sucks. It sucks.
And that question came up because I believe it was last week where we were talking about separating our real friends from our fake friends. And my mom had mentioned, two people who had worked super close together. One person gets a promotion, and then that other person, all of a sudden, it turns from a friend to a foe. And it was just when you were talking about your family and your support, I was just thinking about if you had had any, negative altercations
Oh
with
yeah.
any of your used to be friends because
Absolutely.
your success bothered them. So yeah.
Absolutely. Of course, I wouldn't know that that's the reason. I can only make that assumption. You know what I mean? But Yeah, I've experienced it, and it does suck and it does hurt, because sometimes people think, when you're in this leadership role, you don't have feelings, or when you have to make decisions for your business, you don't have feelings. I absolutely have feelings. I'm still a person. I'm human, but I do have to put the decisions of this business first.
Right.
And so when you say about having to put decisions of the business first,
Mhm.
do you find that you have to be more calculated and emotions can't be a factor? Like you have to do what's business sound business wise?
Yes, absolutely. I'm faced every single day with whether or not this should be an emotional decision or this is a business decision, and I constantly have to remind myself that, because again, I am only human. It's important not to act off of emotion when making decisions in business. It's important to look at the whole picture and not just the picture from your perspective or anyone else's. There's been plenty of times where I've been in positions where I've had to decide whether or not to separate from an employee or not, if this was the time. And I had to think with my business mindset and not my emotional mindset, because of course it's very difficult when you're building a brand and people don't do what's expected, you know what I mean? But the business may not have been able to stand without that employee at the moment, and so I have to make the choice that's best for the business, not what's making me upset or uncomfortable.
Jalen.
So I have a question. I go to college for business
Mhm.
and accounting. But I wanted to know, how did you learn to get into business? Like, what were your who did you learn from? Did you read books, like stuff
Mhm.
like that?
So shortly, there was a short little span where I got the opportunity to work when I decided that I wanted to open my own center. I got the opportunity to work for a short span as a director at another center. And I learned a lot while I was there during the short duration that I was there. I also worked in childcare while I was in college as well. So I already had some experience in childcare. But once I was the director, I learned a lot of what to do and a lot of learned of what not to do. As far as the accounting side and the money side, I hired an accountant who honestly taught me the ropes. I wanted to learn with her. I did not want her to do it for me. It was really important that I understood QuickBooks. I wanted to know exactly what was going on. I wanted to understand all my record keeping so that I could hold her accountable just as she holds me accountable.
I love it. Keela.
Did you have ever I can't speak. Did you ever have any doubts about your business journey? Like, what did you struggle with?
As far as whether or not it would be successful or just doubts in general?
Period. Through and through.
I'm going to say I never really had doubts about it being successful, because again, I've always been a fan of less is more. So if I ever felt like something was becoming too overwhelming, I've never been scared to let go of something, to take a couple steps forward. So I never struggle with that per se. The only fear sometimes that I have as a business owner, of course, is job security. You know what I mean? Like, I can't always guarantee that my enrollment is going to be what it is. There are a lot of things that that are to be taken into consideration. For example, I know you guys have heard of like urban renewal and things of that sort, but in Philadelphia, my business is located in an area where it's being bought out by investors at this time, and it's slowly creeping up. So in a couple years, my business, which is based off of the low income population, because I'm state subsidized, may no longer be able to thrive in that space. So I do have to start thinking about that and what my next step will be.
Wow. So when you say that it's being bought out, are you talking in terms of gentrification?
Yes. Yeah.
Because things change. They change the makeup of the neighborhood.
Yes.
The struggling people are put out while the folks who got money stay.
Exactly. It's slowly creeping up. So yeah.
Yeah. Jetty, do you have another question?
Actually, no.
No?
I know, right?
She was stealing all my questions. That's why I was like, oh my.
She stole all your questions.
Did I steal your question? First of all, hold on. I just want to be honest with you. I ain't steal no questions.
Like, I got my own.
Okay.
Somebody out here capping.
Wrong word. Any questions she thought of while we were engaging in the conversation, I was like,
Yeah, I think so. Oh, no. Yeah, she came up with the
Was he
question.
not together though when we was?
No. While we were reading, I was
Y'all
writing
gonna
down notes,
argue?
and I formed questions
go.
on my own.
Good. It's
no.
okay.
Samuel, do you have another question? Or did we answer all of
Not yet.
Okay. Melissa, you good?
Yeah, I don't think I have any
You
more.
guys have been great. You guys are
Okay,
awesome.
I got a question.
Oh, now you got a
Oh, it's a
question.
self-made. See, it's not even written
But
down.
let's hear. It's another personal question. How
Okay.
are you doing mentally? Like,
So I have days, just like everybody else. I have days where I just don't feel like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are the days where I put my phone on do not disturb and I send an email and say I'm not available, and it works for me. A lot of the times I found that on this journey, my phone is my biggest source of my anxiety because it makes
that
so accessible to people. You know what I mean? So I've learned how to use the focus thing on the iPhone now, and I allow certain people to call at certain times. But I do direct them on the voicemail about how to get in contact with me. And it's best that people just email me so that I can knock it out, and it's not you're coming at me here, coming at me there. So that has slowed me down a lot. And just that's things that I've learned how, that's just one way that I've learned how to manage all of the stressors that come with what I'm doing.
And when you say that, do you mean because the way that I took it, I heard you talk about how you just sometimes just stepped back. Is that what you were referring to?
Absolutely.
And that really spoke to me because sometimes I feel like if I step back, I'm letting things just go by. And I just feel like I need to be doing something because I don't want to be behind. I want to always be one step ahead. So that really spoke to me. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's the best thing to do. Sometimes you just have to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll catch up. You'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
I think she's her mother's child because I totally have a problem stepping away as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if I step away, is there going to be somebody there to pick up the slack?
Right.
Is there going to be a crisis that nobody knows how to mitigate but me? Those type of things. And so they constantly keep you going and spinning in circles, but you don't want to hit a wall.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that I'm almost to that wall, so I'm gonna need to step away in order to keep it moving. And I cannot wait for the holidays. I know I was supposed to take off 2 weeks. Y'all did.
No, yeah,
I've been here every day.
She did not.
I've been here every single day.
That's
and
funny.
so what I wanted to ask you, Miss Tiffany, you talked about having to kind of juggle home life at first and your business, and then what you were trying to accomplish. Did you ever can you talk to us about home? How did that suffer, and how were you able to kind of get that back on track?
Yeah, I feel like so I think the biggest impact that this home and the childcare had is really on the relationship with me and my daughter. First of all, we have a great relationship right now. She's 14, but when she was younger, and I look back, a lot of her moments were filled with other children. You know what I mean? There were always other children around. There really weren't as many moments with her and I. Thank God I'm able to get those moments now because I made it a pact to myself that I'm not going to miss any more of those. But a lot of the time there were always other children around. So she really didn't always just have mommy. You know what I mean? And she even expressed that to me before. And from that, I was like, okay, yeah, we got to fix this. So, and I did. And it's been wonderful since.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. So we are running out of time. We want to thank you for coming through and lacing us with some game.
Thank you. You're welcome. You guys had great questions that I have not answered before. So I'm very happy. They were good.
We love it. We love it. And we invite you to come back anytime you want.
No problem.
You could sit in as another panelist as we go through some of these stories that we get.
I would love to hear your perspective as an educator, please, because these should just be wilding. And
it ain't just the teachers.
I would love to. Let me know.
Dude, crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So I will be in touch to let you know when we got some space for you to come on and kind of kick it with us. I'm not sure what Sam is doing right now, but I think he's warming up for the wave or something.
That's okay. Get it.
We invite you all to join us next week. We will be I think if I confirmed it correctly, we will be talking with
Deion
Mr.
Sanders.
Boy.
What?
Sorry, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Bruh.
I'm just asking.
See,
That was perfect
it's
timing,
too
Tevin.
soon. It's too
That
soon,
was perfect
Jalen.
timing, Tevin.
There's a lot of people in their feelings about this Deion Sanders stuff. So that's too soon. We're not doing that. I was going to say Brandon Brown from Schoolyard Rap. They are coming to
Hey.
Sacramento
Nice.
January 31st. And we are going to be partnering with them to make sure students get to see this. And so we'll be talking to him about his journey, about Schoolyard Rap, how it came to fruition, because he actually started as an educator right here in Sacramento with the Twin Rivers Unified School District. So we will be talking to him next week. Hopefully he'll be in studio. If he's not in studio, he'll be on virtually, and we'll get to question him.
Spit some bars for him.
Okay.
I was going to say some other stuff, but I had to stop myself.
I'm gonna spit some bars for him.
You going to spit some bars?
Don't do
Yeah.
that.
I'm the real rapper though.
Tevin, get them sound effects
You
ready.
got bars, Keela?
Something slight, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to test y'all next week. So with that, we're going to hit y'all with the wave. We'll see you next week, 4:30
Sam,
right
go
here.
ahead.
Go ahead, Sam. Do it.
Millie.
Do it. Millie, where you at?
Miss Tiffany, you wanna do it?
Miss Tiffany, you going to wave for us?
I got you.
Get,
Hey!
Hey,
We'll
wait,
see
why
y'all
was that
next
way
week.
See you guys.
Mood, baby.